Muted.
And in addition to myself, we have Angie McQueen from the Matrix team on the presentation. She'll be monitoring the chat window for us. And we also have Joe Trammell from ADTRAN. Joe, take a second, please, and introduce yourself.
Good morning, all. Joe Trammell here, Regional Account Manager for ADTRAN. I'm based in the Southeast. I'm in Atlanta area, and I cover the Southeast for ADTRAN with all of our product sets, and we'll talk about that a little bit more in just a few minutes. I also want to say thank you for attending, and Rich and Angie, thank you for your hospitality and having ADTRAN participate today. Thank you both.
Yep, sure thing, Joe. We appreciate you attending as well, and you know, partnering with us and you know, putting together a good product set for the folks here. So let's go ahead and kick off the presentation. Like that. Then we'll go over some market trends, some reporting capabilities, and we'll talk about a few case studies. If you are having problems hearing us for this portion of the presentation, just you know, let us know in the chat window if you're having issues hearing us, and we'll go ahead and adjust for that. Also, if you have any questions, as a reminder for those folks that just showed up, if you have any questions during the presentation, go ahead and put those in the chat window. Angie McQueen will be monitoring those, and she'll let us know. Otherwise, we'll open it up at the end of the presentation for questions. Let's start out talking about why Matrix, and you know what Matrix and you know ADTRAN as a partnership bring to the table for all of you guys. And you know, it's just that longevity. Matrix has been around since 1998, so for almost 2 decades now, we have been doing the same thing, which is providing IT services to the small to medium business community. We've been 100% channel for, you know, 16 of those 18 years and remain 100% channel at this point. So, you know, we've been working with valued partners like you to bring these services to the community for almost 20 years now. You know, we also put a lot of process behind this. We've spent a lot of time, you know, learning lessons, hard-won lessons, you know, a lot of scraped knees and bloody noses and things like that. And we've actually put together a hardware and process solution across the board that, you know, really creates a white glove approach for onboarding and implementation, and then maintenance after the implementation. And you know, it really kind of puts that service above the technology. I mean, one of the mantras around here is we're an IT company, or we're a service company. I'm sorry, we're a service company. We just happen to be good at IT. And then, you know, we've got a lot of depth in the 1 through 3 level engineering services. We've got some geo-diverse redundancy. We've got 3 data centers throughout the country, 1 in Columbia, South Carolina, 1 in Phoenix, Arizona, and 1 in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And then, of course, we turn all of this from a CapEx model into a scalable operational model that, you know, helps our customers, you know, financially. So our 5 silos of business really revolve around what we kind of call IT as a service, which is almost all-encompassing. But if you break those out, really desktop as a service, infrastructure, and you know, hosted virtual machines, hosted physical machines, storage, things like that. A domestic live answer help desk, which is unique in our space. We provide a level 1 help desk that will basically answer any call that anyone has on an IT-related basis. And then we build process and scripting behind the scenes for that to either resolve the issue right then and there on the spot, or we engage the right resources to get that issue resolved for the end user. And then we also have a mobility practice where we actually provide provisioning and help desk services along with mobile device management for all the mobile devices. So all the handheld devices and that sort of thing. It's a separate, independent team that works that piece of it. They're all ex-Verizon employees, so they're well versed in managing phones and mobile devices, that sort of thing. So we also have that as a solution. And what we're really going to focus on today is under our IT as a service umbrella, which is, that managed LAN, WAN, or wireless section of the IT as a service. So at this point, I want to go ahead and turn it over to our partner, Joe Trammell from ADTRAN. And a couple years back, we brought ADTRAN as a partner, and we partnered together for services around managed Wi-Fi. And this is a stack that we can bring to the table and quickly deploy and then scale a Wi-Fi solution for customers that's fully managed. Everything's fully baked into the solution. And, we were really excited to bring ADTRAN on, and it's been a really great partnership from the start. But we're kind of bundling together an all-encompassing one-stop shopping service for managed Wi-Fi. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Joe and let Joe talk to you about the ADTRAN solution and some of the market trends.
Thank you, Rich. I appreciate that introduction, and good job getting started here, getting everyone started. And thanks again all for joining. I'd like to encourage you to chat with us. I'll let Angie, Rich, or I know if you have a question as we move through here. It's pretty simple to type in a quick question if you have something, or even a comment. If you'd like to make a comment, please let me know. We're going to jump into Wi-Fi and talk about the hosted and managed service that Matrix provides. And it has been a great partnership for ADTRAN. It's been certainly a two-way street, but the guys at Matrix have been fantastic, very sharp, know what they're doing, and have been a good partner for ADTRAN. So moving into Wi-Fi, ADTRAN's solution is titled here VWLAN. That's Virtualized Wireless Local Area Network, and it's one of ADTRAN's solutions. We actually have been around since 1985. And ADTRAN has several product categories. You may have seen our switch solution or our router solution in your network closet. A lot of people have seen our lights blinking and flashing on our hardware but don't know our name. That's partly by design. ADTRAN is a carrier-centric company. We manufacture for telephone companies, and as I mentioned, have been doing that since 1985, and have many partners like Matrix around the country, but none of them quite like Matrix in the sense that Matrix is providing a hosted and managed service with ADTRAN. So it makes you guys extremely unique and valuable to ADTRAN. So moving right along, the #1 business gateway manufacturer in the world, that'd be ADTRAN. One of the top 2 branch office router manufacturers in the world. You guessed it again, that's ADTRAN. So we're around. We've got some significant market share in product areas. In fact, what we're talking about today, we were the industry's first cloud-based Wi-Fi solution, which is the engine behind Matrix hosted and managed Wi-Fi solution. So that's why they have me on today, and thought I would go through just a few slides here to introduce you guys to ADTRAN's VWLAN solution that is hosted and managed by Matrix. So we'll jump right in. Unless anybody has a question about ADTRAN, by the way, we're headquartered in Huntsville, Alabama. And a lot of people say, what the heck are you doing in Huntsville? Well, we have offices around the world. We have over 2,000 employees, and we're a $600 million company. And yes, we're headquartered in of all places, Huntsville, Alabama. Just want you guys to know that sales is headquartered there, marketing, our manufacturing and engineering team is headquartered there. Now, we do manufacturing all around the world, but we also do it in Huntsville, Alabama, so we can say we're an American manufacturer, in fact. And I think what a lot of people are interested in, especially our partner Matrix, is our tech support team is U.S. based. We're right in Huntsville, Alabama, so I will admit that our tech support team, they definitely have accents. In fact, it definitely sounds a lot like mine here being from the Southeast. So there's that for you. What's driving Wi-Fi today, and how is ADTRAN and Matrix addressing it? There are several factors. In fact, that's what I'm going to start with. So you might hear a few new terms. Some of these might not be new to you, but this is definitely what's driving Wi-Fi. And We'll get into how and the whys as we go through this. The way ADTRAN is addressing these and how we scale and why it's important to go with the cloud solution. So I would tell you right now that BYOD is not a new term to me. It's been around for a long time, but this whole bring your own device thing finally really came to pass last year, just last year, when employees' own devices surpassed the corporate issued device. And again, that was just in 2015 last year. So even though we've been talking about it for a long time and building for it, BYOD is really now here to stay. If you're like me, you've got multiple devices. I have an iPad, a PC, and a phone. I bought my own phone, my own iPad, and my company issued me a desktop, actually a laptop device. So 2 out of 3 of my devices belong to Joe Trammell, and the third belongs to ADTRAN. So I think a lot of employees are just like me, and that's the reason why BYOD is here to stay. And my iPad doesn't have a wired connection, and my phone doesn't either, of course. So you know, I've got 2 out of 3 choices are to connect via Wi-Fi only. So don't be surprised when people start talking about BYOD and how they're dealing with, you know, M2M or mobile-to-mobile security type issues. You're going to hear a lot of that if you haven't already. And so if you haven't heard of the IoT or the Internet of Things, you probably have. All kinds of devices are also driving, in addition to BYOD, the IoT in our market right now is crazy. There are all kinds of manufacturers and software companies coming out with security type platforms and so forth. ADTRAN's been doing it for a long time, addressing the Internet of Things via our Wi-Fi solutions and switch and router solutions for that matter, but mainly through our Wi-Fi solution. And frankly, that's because most IoT type devices are connecting via Wi-Fi, and that could be anywhere from a heating and air system in a commercial building to your refrigerator at home. A lot of people are connecting smart home devices via Wi-Fi now, and in the old days, it's kind of funny, you know, you had a couple of PCs maybe connected to your home Wi-Fi network, and I just bet if I asked all of you right now to think about how many devices you have at home that are connecting via Wi-Fi, it would take you a few minutes to think through all of them. It wouldn't just be the old phone and maybe even a laptop or two, but it would be a lot of additional devices that you're connecting. And I wouldn't be surprised if you have some door locks attached to via Wi-Fi or garage door type situations as well. And those type are just examples of what's going on in the IoT world. On the commercial side, it's even more greatly magnified. The point is, this picture could be just about any college classroom around the country. Your Wi-Fi is under enormous pressure. There are more users, more devices, more applications, more bandwidth is being required, definitely more locations, and across campus a few years ago, Wi-Fi was a nice to have, and now it's a have to have, and we all know that. So how are you scaling, and how can you scale, and how can your customer solve their Wi-Fi issues? And that is through a simple but very powerful Wi-Fi solution that ADTRAN calls VWLAN, Virtualized Wireless Local Area Network. It's been around since 2009. It's gone through several updates, many updates, and iterations. I would like to start off by showing you our built-in access. It's included in the service that Matrix provides, that ADTRAN, the engine that ADTRAN has provided to Matrix. And built-in secure guest access is typically one of the first questions that people want to know is, you know, how do you connect? And is it only for employees, or can it also be for guests? And so I like to start off with showing you our built-in secure guest access to the Wi-Fi network. This is all based off of the VWLAN platform that's hosted and managed at Matrix Network Operating Center. So customizable captive portals means that you can customize through click and drag your portal where customers log in, or either guests or employees log in. You've got the lobby administrator ability to create a single or bulk account that have expiration dates on them. So if somebody is coming in to spend a week in your facility, or if they're just coming in to spend an hour, you can set up an appropriate account for them where they are secure and accessing the network via the only route that you would like them to. So it's important to note that they're not just on the employee network, they're on a specific guest access network. So there are sponsored accounts and self-sponsored accounts. We can do radius and LDAP and all those technical terms. For a sales engineer like Rich, that is important stuff. For sales guys like me and you, it's suffice it to say that we can do multiple levels of authentication. We can secure guests and employees on the same access point, and I think that is probably the most important thing I would want to leave you with. Logging and reporting for security and marketing, we can always go back and take a look at what's going on after the fact via our reporting infrastructure. We're going to show you a picture of that in just a second. That's also can be very important to manage the Wi-Fi network, making sure that people are getting the experience that you expect them to. So how does it work? And how can Matrix host it at their network operating center and manage an access point at my customer's restaurant or at my customer's law office or hospital, for instance? And that's because we have developed this out-of-band architecture technology. And so basically what's going on is that Matrix has a controller in their network operating center that's connected to the access point, and that controller provides updates and management for the access point. On the access point end of it, what's happening at the restaurant or the attorney's office, for instance, those APs are actually enforcing policies at the customer site. So the controller is used to provide overriding policies and security to the access point, but the access...
Joe, I think we may have lost you. Was that Joe that just dialed back in? Give us just a minute, guys.
Angie, can you hear me now?
There we go. Thanks, Joe. You're back.
Okay. And so we're talking about out-of-band architecture and how the VWLAN works, and doing that just briefly. So the controller is hosted at Matrix, hosted and managed by Matrix. The access point at the customer site is an intelligent access point. It will actually let you or not let you, based on policies provided at the access point level, connect to the network. So that's important. In traditional manufacturer world, you route back through to the control instance to be connected to the network. That means that from a security perspective, you've allowed a user onto your access point, onto your local network, and all the way back to your controller before you say whether they should be able to connect or not. That's a big deal. I hope I made that point well. I know I got disrupted on the audio side of things, but this out-of-band architecture is important, and it's significant to Matrix's ability to provide Wi-Fi hosted and managed. Angie and Rich, I don't see any questions. I'm going to keep moving forward. Please jump in and stop me if you see a question come up, okay?
Yeah, most certainly. Thanks, Joe.
There we go. Yep, I thought so. Sorry, we had a little bit of drag there, and I clicked through a couple of slides. I'm going to back up. My apologies. Okay, so I mentioned customized reporting and analytics dashboards. want you to think about this from a perspective of this is the back office view, okay? This is not from the device side or the end user side. This is from the back office view. So the folks at Matrix, you and or your customer could look at how their customers are connecting, how long they stay connected, how well they are connected, how much throughput they're able to transmit and receive. You can also see what websites they went to, how long they spent at each website. We can tell what type of device they're logging in with. And all those types of things can be important to different customers. You know, you can get killed with reporting, and I won't wear you out on it. Trust me, there's so many reports in here. We can slice the data of how your user is connecting to the Wi-Fi network just about any way you want to see it, by time, by device, by broadband throughput connectivity, by website. There are a lot of different reports here. So if you have a customer to know what their folks are doing or what their guests are doing, you can rest assured we can slice that information in any number of ways. And again, these are customizable, so you can click and drag certain reports and or that are already pre-built, and or you can build your own reports. And again, this is the back office side of things. We're going to talk about the device side in just a few minutes, but on the back office side of things, this is extremely important to IT managers, to business managers, to the level of folks that want to know what they're spending their money on and why. And there is a good set of reports in here that'll help you explain that. Okay, so that's part of the engine. It's not an additional expense or any type of feature that's not included. It is all built in and included. A lot of people ask me, you know, well, let's talk about the access point. You know, what's the access point look like? What is the wireless access point, the WAP, the AP? People call them different things. The access points from ADTRAN are high-performance, engineering-oriented access points. These are what you're seeing here. These are 802.11n access points on the left and 802.11 AC on the right. I make that a distinguishing comment for you because 802.11n is last year's technology, 802.11 AC is this year and next year's technology. So we still have backward compatible and forward compatible technology built into both, but you might have customers out there that are running on a little bit older network, and N might make more sense, or you might have customers that are on the leading edge and are interested in the greatest amount of throughput that they can get, and that of course would be through the latest standard, and that's 802.11 AC. I promised Angie and Rich that I wouldn't, that I would do my best to stay out of the tech talk and stay, you know, on the sales side of things. But that's about as technical as it's going to get. Those are the two standards that are most recent. Wave 1, Wave 2, and Wave 3 of 802.11 AC are in process. Wave 1 is out. Wave 2 is coming out. Some manufacturers have Wave 2 out currently, and Wave 3 is still to be determined, TBD, on the technology requirements for manufacturers like ADTRAN. So this is our suite of access points from 802.11n to AC. The BSAP 1920 to your far left is a lesser expensive generic or general use access point. It has 2 radios, both have transmit and receive, and it comes 2 ways. It comes with internal omnidirectional antenna built in on the 1920, and the picture right below that is a picture of the 1925. It has external antenna connections. And the reason you'd build the same AP 2 different ways is because you'd want a different antenna style for different applications. You might have a point-to-point antenna. You might have a higher gain antenna. So those of you that know something about antennas and transmit and receive, there are different antenna styles out there for good reasons, and that's why ADTRAN has a built-in omnidirectional 1920 version and an external connection for different types of antennas in the 1925. And then that nomenclature works across our product set from 1930s and 1935s. It's the same thing. And we step to the right one more step. It's the BSAP 1940. That's an outdoor 802.11n dual radio, meaning it's got a 2.4 and a 5 gigahertz radio built in. That is a rock solid access point. You know where I've seen those put in the most is in deep freezers. For distribution centers that have, for grocery store chains and so forth, distribution centers, they have those huge, sub-zero freezers. That BSAP 1940 has an extended temperature range and does a great job in sub-zero temperatures. And then one more step to the right, the BSAP 2020, and that gets us started on the AC, or the latest standard access points. And the 2020 is akin to the 1920. It has 2 radios in there. It's 2.4 and 5 gigahertz. It's a lower cost AC access point. In fact, the list price on that happens to be under $500 for a professional engineering grade access point. That's a really competitive cost. In fact, I think I have a slide to show you some cost differentials with our competitors coming up in just a few seconds. Then one more step to your right is the BSAP 2030. The 2030 has a third spatial stream, and as I promised, I won't get too technical here, but that third spatial stream allows for more throughput, more bandwidth being utilized, and so it is used. The 2020 is used for a generic or general use. The 2030 is generally in more high-dense applications, i.e. a classroom or a synagogue or a church or a mall, where you might have more people in a smaller space, say in the food court, where you're trying to connect a lot of people on a single device and get a lot of throughput through it. That's what the 2030 is for. And then, of course, the 2035 is the same version, it just has those external antennas. Let's see. The 2135, I want to point that out to you because that's our brand new AC standard outdoor access point. It's full gig of throughput, by the way. If you think about that, that is amazing gig throughput on an outdoor access point. It also has that extended temperature range, same as the 1940, and all these APs are in stock and available, and so now you've had a picture and a view of the differences between ADTRAN's portfolio of access points. So here's that competitive slide I wanted to show you just really quickly. What we call the best value in cloud managed Wi-Fi from an access point perspective. ADTRAN's BSAP 2020 at $495 list price, very competitive against Cisco, Meraki, Aruba, Ruckus, Aerohive. Those are some of the big names that we tend to run into, and as you can tell, we're really well placed in terms of cost. On the outdoor access point, it gets a little tighter, but we're still less expensive mostly across the board. For the 2030, that third spatial stream access point, we're extremely well priced. And again, on the 2135, the AC outdoor access point, same thing. ADTRAN is very competitively priced, and we should be significantly below in terms of an overall architected and end device solution. And let me explain. The VWLAN service from Matrix is extremely competitively priced. That, along with our hardware component, the access point, being competitively priced, we should be significantly less than the competition. And if we're not, something's rotten in Denmark. Something's not right somewhere. So let us know. But I do want to make that point for you. And then a couple.
Joe?
Yes, sir.
Hey, we've got a question from Jerry Davis. Jerry asks, can we provide a site survey or make recommendations in terms of AP placement and type, et cetera? Do we provide installation and cabling to the APs? I'll take a shot at that one, Joe, and then you can fill in some color. The quick answer, Jerry, is that yes, we provide all of those services. We can do predictive surveys based on, just a schematic or a blueprint of the space that we're going to cover. ADTRAN has provided us with some really good tools and things to make a really good predictive heat map on where the access points need to be based on that blueprint. We also can provide, through our partnership, installation and cabling services, so that can all be part of the package that we bring to the table. And Joe, fill in any color if I missed anything on that.
Well, you did great, Rich. That's a terrific question too, Jerry, by the way.
And guys, I think it's from Gary.
Sorry about that, Gary.
Oh, is it pronounced Gary? I'm sorry. Yep.
Yeah,
All
and
right.
we have one other question. Mark asks,
For the playback.
yeah, if we're going to provide a playback of this, and yes, it is being recorded, and we'll get information to you about how to go out and grab this recording so you can go back through it.
So, hey, back on Gary's question really quickly, Rich. Only thing I would add is that that site survey is an interesting way he typed that question. We do, as Rich mentioned, we do a predictive site survey, and we can get really close to the number of access points that are required via just simply having a floor plan and putting that into a predictive survey program. And we'll come to, we say generally about 90%, maybe even 95% in some cases, depending on the accuracy of the floor plan document, whether it's an as-built drawing or just a simple stick picture, like a fire escape exit plan. When you're walking through an office, you often see those. And if you can grab one of those, if you can ask your customer for one of those, Gary or all the other folks on the call, that is very helpful in Wi-Fi world, because that gives us a good place to start. And then there's also this thing called a physical on-site survey. So I want to make sure that we answer the rest of that question, which is, if we needed to, as a team, Matrix and ADTRAN could come on site and do a physical on-site survey. That can get expensive, and we would definitely want to talk to you about that in advance. So an engineer on site with any number of pieces of gear to test the air, you bet, we provide that service. Just want to talk about it in advance, okay? All right, great. So as far as a roadmap, I did want to quickly point out that we do development on VWLAN. Matrix updates their VWLAN instance and their controller and has the latest and greatest feature set from ADTRAN. And we've got a few things coming out that I'm excited about that it's a little bit on the technical side, so I'll just go through it really quickly. But dynamic steering or band steering, which means actually pushing the client, if we've got a better signal on one radio versus another radio, we're going to be able to push people to that better connection. And then load balancing and sticky client prevention technology is something that's come out. It's an industry standard that's indicated by the 802.11kV. That's something that the Wi-Fi Alliance has put together, and ADTRAN's developed into our solution as well, where we can balance the load. You've got two radios and an access point, and you want to do the best job you can by keeping the number of connections and throughput equal on those radios so that everybody gets the same or the best possible Wi-Fi experience. And that sticky client thing, it's probably not a big deal to you guys. At least if you've heard of it before, I'd be surprised. It's a big deal in Wi-Fi world, because oftentimes when you walk into a facility, your phone, your Mac, your iPhone 7, or sometimes it's the latest phones, believe it or not, they'll connect to an access point, and then they'll stick to that access point no matter where else you move through the facility. And there's some Wi-Fi Alliance work that's been done discussed, or wave 1 access points, and wave 2 are just now coming out. And so if you're familiar with those waves, I won't go into it, but if you're familiar, you know that wave 2 is just now coming out, and our APs will be out in the fourth quarter of this year. All right, so you're probably wondering, where's the sexy sizzle to Wi-Fi? And I hope a bunch of you guys are wondering and asking yourselves, how are customers going to pay for this, and how are they going to get out of it what they've put into it in terms of their return on investment. I just happen to have an answer for that question, and it's called Wi-Fi Analytics. And Wi-Fi Analytics are available through Matrix. They are part of the ADTRAN engine. They are an additional expense. So you'll want to talk about that and have a quote provided by the good folks at Matrix. But they are built into the engine such that they're ready to go today. So if you have a customer that wants to talk about how do I monetize my Wi-Fi or how do I justify the expense, this is a fantastic way to have the conversation. So what you're looking at here, and I'm just going to jump in with 3 really quick slides, okay? So this will be brief, but I did want you to know this is what you'd be looking at. So this is an example of one of our customers. I hope you can see the name of that. It's Ray's Steakhouse, and this is an actual example. They modified some of the data to be funny for Simon Cowell. This is the sense of humor. If you take a look at the top right, you'll see you know, the number of times he's visited a facility, how many e-shots he's received, and then the last number, how many devices used. And that's the part that is supposed to be humorous. 114 devices used by Simon Cowell. I don't think so. Most of us carry a couple, at most. I don't think he's carrying 114 devices around. But that's the type of detailed information you can get about a user when they walk into a restaurant, and like Ray's Steakhouse in Los Angeles. So what type of device did he connect with? Can we send him an e-shot? And an e-shot would be either an email, a banner ad, or even an SMS message, right? So you could send Simon, on his birthday. You could send him a happy birthday message with a coupon. You could let him know what the dinner specials were that evening at Ray's Steakhouse. Any number of things. In fact, the things that you know about him via his Facebook login, you'll know about him because he connected via your Wi-Fi network, right? So when he chooses to log in through your Wi-Fi network via Facebook, you're going to know those interesting details about him, about your guest. One more bit of information. You can do all kinds of review and research with your customer on your customers and your users' likes and dislikes, about their habits while they're at your store or at your place of business. You can average advertising expense. You can develop specific advertising. I mean, this gets really, really detailed. It's super cool. This is the sexy sizzle of Wi-Fi and how you cost justify an investment in Wi-Fi. And then lastly, I've got just a little bit more here for you. This is all the data that equals the value of Wi-Fi. You know who your customers are. You know their email information, name, phone number, gender, and age, their hometown, all the stuff on their Facebook page like we talked about, their Twitter if they logged in via Twitter or Instagram or LinkedIn, any number of social media logins. You can do, as I mentioned, you can send them custom e-shots. You can drag and drop the design of that e-shot, There's all kinds of ways that you can advertise to your customer when you're using Wi-Fi analytics. You can target special campaigns as well. I called on a customer in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, and it's a retail establishment, and they know when their customers come, and they generally know where they come from, but they don't know how to contact them without just doing a mass mailer. And so they're very interested in this. We're talking to them about it today to get real specific. You'd be surprised, or I was at least surprised, how far people are willing to go to get to a beach. Most of the visitors in Myrtle Beach, at certain times of the year anyway, are coming from Virginia and Ohio. And I was impressed that they knew that, but they were disappointed that they didn't know much more than that about their customers. So this is why they're looking at inputting Wi-Fi into their retail establishment in Myrtle Beach. All right. A couple of case studies I thought I'd leave you guys with, and we're done. Just 2 case studies, and we're done. This is probably where the rubber hits the road the most for me in our little time together today. So if you have any questions, and now is a good time to start typing them. This is exactly what we were just talking about with retail data analytics, with the ROI of Wi-Fi. The Durham Bulls in downtown Durham, North Carolina, installed Wi-Fi for their guests, for their customers coming in to watch baseball. It's much more than baseball, though, at Durham Stadium. There's retail, there's all kinds of hospitality concessions. You can't just call it food, it's concessions, because they've got all kinds of drinks and frozen treats and all kinds of things going on inside the stadium at any given time. And Mr. Goodman, who owns the Durham Bulls, wanted to provide Wi-Fi to everybody. And when he said it that way, we said, what do you mean by everybody? And he said he wants the ability for everyone in the stadium to be able to be connected at the same time and hit enter on their device to go out to the internet at the same time. So our partner on the broadband side of things, Frontier Communications, had to put in a pretty big pipe. In fact, they got a couple of gig worth of data in the form of a enterprise class router and pipe coming into the Durham Bulls Stadium. And they have over 11,000 concurrent Wi-Fi sessions available to them. That place seats 10,500, and there's another 1,500 in SRO. I've been in and around Clownville, all over that place, both in the pre-sales and post-implementation phase of the project, and it's a really beautiful stadium. If you're ever in downtown Durham, it's a cool place to hang out. And they've got great Wi-Fi, by the way, guest access available, no password. So it's a fully managed solution, just like that's offered by Matrix to customers. So this is a really good example of a retail or hospitality vertical example of using Wi-Fi.
Hey, Joe?
Yes.
Hey, can we kind of jump in, and rather than talk about this next one, can we jump in and talk about one that's actually part of the Intelisys community? And I think it's a really great example of, the solution totally that we provide, and, it kind of hits home because it's in the Intelisys community. Does that make sense?
You bet. What you got?
Yeah, so, as a reminder, guys, we're going to open up for Q&A right after this last case study. But, one of the Intelisys partners came to us a while back, and they had in Southern California a restaurant that, they were having a lot of problems with Wi-Fi and things like that, and connectivity for their own employees. But they also had this idea that they wanted to open up Wi-Fi access in their multiple locations to their customers. And then, they wanted to be able to give their customers, when they came in the door, access to free Wi-Fi. They also wanted to be able to contain their POS system and things like that inside of that same Wi-Fi network, so that their servers can go around with mobile devices, like iPads and things like that, and take orders, submit orders, and process bills and things like that. And they wanted to do it in a secure manner. So we were able to team up with the ADTRAN folks and put together a solution that it's a contiguous solution across all of their locations, so that whether or not you're an employee or you're a customer, you can walk into any of their locations and you're on their Wi-Fi. So if I go into, store A and I sign into the Wi-Fi, and whether I'm a customer or I'm an employee, and I leave store A and I go to store C, when I walk in the door, I'm right back on the Wi-Fi. I don't have to do anything extra. So we developed that solution. We put it together. We got all of the configuration set up, and we just shipped them the access points. And as Joe said earlier, these are intelligent access points. All the folks at this restaurant had to do was plug the access points in. They grabbed their configuration, and they were off and running. So very simple installation from their point of view, very easy to maintain, very easy to replace, because if one of them breaks, if an access point breaks or quits communicating, we just ship them a new one. They plug it in, turn it on, and it starts working. So they've also come back to us just recently, and they want to start talking about analytics, so they can do things like, their store C location, they may want to offer for the next 2 hours, a free appetizer with a meal. And they can do that right on the Wi-Fi. So when a customer walks in and they log into the Wi-Fi, it pops a banner up and says, hey, free appetizer today if you order,
X amount of food. So it's a really good solution for them, and it's one of those things that hits home, and it's right here in our community, the Intelisys community. We're going to open it up in just a second, but I did want to mention that earlier when Joe was talking about the pricing and everything, and that, that's really the price for the physical adapters. But what we are doing as a team is Matrix has taken on the burden of buying that physical device, and then we're wrapping the managed services around it, all the configuration, and all of the service bundle, and we're turning that from a capital expense to an operational expense. So instead of them, laying out a big sum of money at the beginning and then paying a service fee as we go along, it's just a steady, predictable cost that is scalable month to month to month. So if they need to scale up in the number of APs they have, or they need to scale backwards, we can do that as well, rather than buying hardware and that sort of thing. And it looks like we've got a question. What are the monitoring tools used by Matrix, and is it SolarWinds? And the quick answer is yes, we do use SolarWinds, but there are also monitoring tools that are built right into the ADTRAN stack, controller stack, that allows us to monitor, maintain, and manage those devices. So that same report that Joe showed us earlier with all of those analytics and things like that, that also monitors the APs, tells us the status, and we can monitor it right from there as well. We also have another question. Can we send an auto login notice to a guest device as they enter the site? Or
muted.
A user's going to look at their device, and so if they look at their device, they're going to see a Wi-Fi signal, and if they choose to select it, John, then they're going to receive a website, or not a website, a splash page or a captive portal that's going to say, hey, you need to log in, and you need to have the following information to log in. And so I would call that an auto login notice, because basically, I mean, they're going to have to look at it, and and once they see it, then yes, they're going to realize, hey, I've got to talk to somebody, or I've got to do something special to get logged on. So you bet, that's absolutely what they're going to be handed, or what they're going to be shown or sent when they walk onto premises.
And Joe, too, we have unmuted, so if anyone would like to ask a question, either in the chat or on the bridge.
Hi, can you hear me?
I don't see any additional. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, this is John about the auto logon. Just to try to make things a little easier for people coming into a restaurant or an auditorium or a facility of some sort, commercial, whatever. What I was trying to get to is that a notification would hit their device with a one-click logon. For those customers, not the first time going through the standard process that you just discussed is fine, but for returning customers, since you do know what device they have and they're returning customers, a one-click logon, being that you've already captured that information in the past, is that something that's available?
Yeah, that's a great follow-up. Thank you for the explanation, John. And the answer is absolutely yes. If we know the device and we've gone through the login previously, it depends on how you set up your particular customer, but that is a definite capability in Wi-Fi. And I'd like to say that's, a feature only that ADTRAN has, but several manufacturers actually have that. And yes, you can send them a hey, you're connected to the Wi-Fi network kind of notice, and so they just walk in and they're already on. And that's, some retail establishments, I'm thinking retail right now, John, you could probably think of a bunch of other examples, but some retail, they want to know every time you walk in, and they want you to re-accept their terms. So there'll be exceptions to the rule when you want to do that, but you can definitely do that. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Good question.
Looks like we've got about 5 minutes till the end of the hour. Are there any other questions from the group?
All right, everyone, don't see any other questions coming through, so just wanted to take a moment to let you know that if you got an opportunity, or if you're interested in more information, you can contact the Matrix sales team. Our email is sales@matrix-ibs.com. The phone number is 803-254-4221 and select extension 3, and that will get you directly to the sales team. I want to take this time this opportunity to thank the Intelisys group and Angie for putting this together for us, and of course Joe and the folks over at ADTRAN for being a great Matrix partner and putting together a really good package. Environment, and I'll tell you from our perspective right off the top, and I know Joe can dig deeper into it, but the access points do have a layer 2 firewall built in with content filtering and things like that, so we can do things at the access point to secure that connection and prevent folks from doing things they shouldn't be doing right at the access point. But if you scope that out to the larger picture of it being part of that local area network, we can also add in, features through their switching, their routing, and their firewalls at that end as well. But I'll let Joe fill in some color on the AP itself and its security functions.
Hey, Rocky, if you're unmuted, do you want to describe your question a little bit more? Did Rich handle it already, or is there some more I can add? Or there's a lot more to say about that, by the way. That's a great question, so I just want to make sure I'm hitting the right spot.
Well, and Joe, too, there's a follow-up question from John asking for a copy of the slides. We'll actually have that posted on our Intelisys supplier page, as well as probably likely on our YouTube channel as well.
So Rich did a great job talking about security. The AP itself, as he mentions, is a stateful firewall, and we've got multiple policy levels in there, Rocky, where you can have if-then statements. You can have different levels of types of websites they can hit. So a lot of that's managed right there at the access point. But I want you to know that if your question is from, a PCI compliance type perspective for retail, perhaps, or for hospitality even, that we are in fact PCI compliant. We do act as an extension of the wired network. The way we secure traffic is through VLANs, and that's going to be a switch and router and access point or Wi-Fi solution all in one, right? So we're not just going to secure the Wi-Fi piece. We're going to make sure that we connect, that what we're connected to and how we send information out over the internet is also secured. So yeah, this is a very intelligent access point, and it works in conjunction with your switch infrastructure and your router and your firewall, for that matter, to
Again, if you have any questions, you need further information, you have an engagement, go ahead and contact the Matrix sales team at the information provided. Just as another housekeeping note, as Angie said earlier, we will be providing a copy of this presentation, the slides, and the audio portion on our supplier site and possibly our YouTube channel as well. So look for some information on that coming very soon. Again, thanks everyone for attending, and we will see you all soon.
Thanks, guys. Take care.